Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News, May 26th, 2019. Folks, it's been a very, very busy day since about 3 a.m. this morning. And not only do we have a magnitude 8.0 earthquake that went off in Peru in the middle of the night, we have very, very terrible situations brewing out in the center part of the United States here, out in the Midwest. Not looking too good. You know, all of these situations have me a little stressed trying to figure things out. And today, I was a little confused with this magnitude 8.0 earthquake in Peru. And I've been looking into it ever since my second live stream. I started digging through all of the data, and I wanted to know just why this magnitude 8.0 went off. Why was it so big as far as its magnitude? And in my second live stream and also my first live stream, first thing this morning, I mentioned to all of you that I didn't think that this had anything to do with our sun. And I was basing that on some general observations, looking at the SDO model. And I was looking at it, that's the view that I show you guys with the sun. It's kind of that purple color. And it shows more of the coronal hole openings in the sun's atmosphere. But what I failed to do, and I then did later on, is I started looking at a different angstrom of ultraviolet light, and that was the 193, and that's kind of the gold brassy color. I don't use it all that much whenever I do my videos or live streams, but I remember a few days ago looking at it and seeing a smaller coronal hole, and then over the past 48 hours, that coronal hole started to intensify. It started to get a little bit bigger, and it was just below the sun's equator. Now, our position with the sun is, again, just below the equator. And I started poring over some of this data, and I started looking at the timelines of when this earthquake occurred, roughly, and the positioning of this coronal hole. What was confusing, once again, was this very, very low speed of this solar wind, and we talk about the solar wind all the time. Again, these speeds, the approach to the Earth, it's been very, very slow, folks. Slower than normal. And that's why I wasn't paying very much attention to it. Once again, it kind of caught me off guard. But anyways, as I started looking through this data, I come to find something that was, well, let's just say, eye-opening. And now I'm going to change course on all of you here, and I'm going to correct myself. I definitely now, knowing what I know now, I definitely think that the sun was a major, major factor in this earthquake. On a scale from 1 to 10, I'd have to put it like at a 9.5. Okay, so that's how sure I am of myself. And what I'm about to talk to all of you about, it's a little science-y. It may be a little hard for some of you folks to understand. It's taken me years and years and years and years to understand most of what I know about our sun and the solar system and our planet. And these magnetic fields. Bingo, once again. That's what we're getting into. I mention it quite frequently in my live streams. Our magnetic fields, our magnetic shield is getting weaker. We've only just begun to get into this solar minimum. But here was the big question that I asked myself. out of all of the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of solar minimum cycles with our sun, why all of a sudden now are we going to see more intense factors here on Earth? What makes this solar minimum any different than all of the ones in the past? Do we have another factor? Well, look at the name of my YouTube channel. Look at the name of the research and all of the investigative work that I've done for, it's over 20 years now. This last 5 years, 5 or 6 years, it's actually been more intense. But more observations have come about, and now we have a better understanding. So, no pun intended, but it's like now, this solar minimum, we have this X factor. If any of you are, good in algebra and stuff, yeah, you're always adding up letters with numbers, but now we have this X factor. Now we have an intruder, or several of them, that are literally in our inner solar system interacting with our sun. These objects, definitely the main large object, probably has a massive magnetic field. Is it putting stress on the sun? Probably quite a bit. The sun would basically not be used to having another magnetic field that strong, that close to it. I believe if you put any two stars together with intense magnetic fields, even if one was smaller than the other, they would definitely have effects on each other. But anyways, getting away from that, I started looking at what we refer to as the phi angle, and you see it on the thumbnail here, right above the pink lines. I started looking at some of the ACE data. That's another satellite between the Earth and the Sun. It's actually a little closer to the Sun because it's actually supposed to be a little bit of a warning for all of us here on Earth. If a CME would occur, a massive flare, it gives us the information before that material hits the Earth. So it gives us a little bit of a warning. I might say not much. Not much to really do anything other than to know that this is coming. And look, governments don't give you any type of advance warning like in hurricane season, okay? They don't have the space weather information center that's on TV. Although I could see maybe one day, that may pop up. Who knows? But, I was racking my brain thinking to myself, okay, well, what makes this solar minimum? Why is this going to be so much more intense than all the others? Well, we have that other factor involved. So I started looking at the ACE data, and look, it's a little cryptic. If you haven't been looking at it for years, it's just going to look like a bunch of colored lines zigzagging all over your screen. But there are several things there that we do pay very close attention to. The plasma density and the solar wind speed and a few other things. But I started looking at that, and I started looking at the time of this earthquake, and lo and behold, I looked at the phi angle, and that's the directional angle of the sun's magnetic field interacting with the Earth's. That's their magnetic field connection. And as you can see by the pink lines, during this period, a few hours, well, this is in universal time, and I'll go over the chart with you, but going back in time, in universal time, the numbers, the timeline, all lines up with this earthquake. So, just before this earthquake occurred, hours before, the phi angle, the magnetic field connection between the sun and the earth, it got smaller. And without going into full definitions of this phi angle, I might have to, but this angle reduced, so it's like it was concentrated. It's almost like shining the sun through a magnifying glass, you know, when you were a kid, and then once you focus that in, you get that nice pinpoint. Well, that's kind of what we're looking at here in layman's terms. Let me go ahead and jump over to this, and I'll show you guys what I found. Just bear with me. Pull up some screenshots here. Got a whole bunch of them. Oh, I almost forgot to turn on the live chat. Yeah, I've been racking my brains on this all day, folks. Beating my head in, man. I'm tired too. I might have it figured out. You know, I got a bunch of emails and inbox messages from all of you, and there were some pretty interesting ones there. Mr. MBB came out with his theory that had to do with that little tandem asteroid that was zipping by the Earth, and you know, I mean, that's all a possibility. But actually, what I'm looking at here, the timeline is even more accurate. So we're looking at a clip from the ACE advisory here, and here is your phi angle right here in the blue. And we have the timeline. If you look at the bottom here, I'll explain this real quick. This is the 25th. This is the 26th. Those are dates on the calendar. Remember, this is in universal time, not the time on your clock in your kitchen. So whenever we start to see very, very strong dips like you see here, it leveled back out, rose. Those are the degrees of the connection between the sun and the earth. Usually, this doesn't bother us too much. But when I started looking at this, and I started looking at the timeline, let's go ahead. I'm going to zoom in here real quick. Let me back off. Okay, you can see the date down here below, the 26th. Just follow my cursor. Right here. Now remember, this is in universal time, so depending on where you're at, where I'm at, I'm 4 hours behind universal time. Peru, they may be 4 or 6 hours. I'd actually have to check. But going back in time, we see the phi angle, the magnetic field connection with the Earth. We see that angle bottom out just before this earthquake. And when I mean bottom out, we're looking at a triangle like this, and then it bottoms out. It gets it closes sharper and sharper and sharper. It's almost like I said, having that magnifying glass with the sun shining through it and you really harnessing that little pinpoint. That's what occurred right here, right at this time. There's no doubt in my mind that this was definitely one of the largest major factors on what happened. I haven't seen this happen in quite a while. I do have to admit I haven't been paying very close attention to this phi angle. You know, we were all caught up in those sunspots, almost 2 weeks ago, and now this. But again, like nothing else on the ACE data was changing, and that is what caught my eye. That very, very sharp dip. And I wanted to confirm it to make sure that, okay, that's what I saw. That's the timeline. That's the timeline of the actual quake. So I'm going to just collapse this for a second. I'm going to show you guys something here. I went and I looked at the discovery data, and same thing. This satellite is right between us and the sun. So it catches this data and it catches these particles, this energy, before it gets to the Earth. So we get the data ahead of time. And this is actually the live. Oh my, don't tell me this updated. Oh my God. Did it update on me? Oh man. Let me see something here. Yeah, we could go back 3 days. I'll have to wait for this to load. Okay. We got it back, which is good. Right here, if you follow my cursor, here's our phi data right up here. You can see, and this is all in conjunction and correlation with a coronal hole that was below the equator. And remember, that's where we're located here on Earth. We're kind of below the sun's equator, just below it. So this phi angle was pretty stable for quite some time. We had one very sharp dip right here. It leveled back out. We saw it rise. And then, excuse me, my eye is itching. We had two pretty severe dips right there. You see where that it hits the bottom black line right there? That's bottomed out. Same thing right here. But here was the kicker. Right here, the signature actually got more intense. And if you look at the date right on the bottom, well, there's the 26th. But remember, folks, this is in universal time, so you have to subtract 4 to 6 hours, depending. I think Peru is, I think they may be an hour behind us, so maybe 5 hours. So this does take us into pretty damn close to the time this earthquake went off. So you could see the signature right there where my cursor is, and it bottomed out, and it bottomed out hard. So that angle of the sun's magnetic connection with the earth intensified. It got really small. And it doesn't take very long from that point on for something to occur. Now, here is something else. 48 hours before this occurred, even though the solar wind speed was moderate, nothing to write home about, we were still being blasted by the solar wind coming from this coronal hole. And I'm going to show it to you right now, and then it's going to start to come together for you a little bit. And again, I know some of this may be a little confusing, but I'm trying to explain it the best that I can. So that phi angle bottomed out right there at that time, and that is that would be about pretty close to between 5 and 6 a.m. UTC time. Subtract those 3 or 4 hours, kind of puts you really close right before this earthquake. So that's what got me thinking that this is what really induced this this severe earthquake. I wasn't expecting anything like seeing, anything near a magnitude 8 earthquake. So I'm going to jump out of here, and we were already looking at the ACE data. I'll just pull it up one more time. I can't magnify this one, but right there, folks. So both the discovery data and the ACE data both match up perfectly with the timeline of that earthquake. So now that we got all of that out of the way, now we'll bring up the SDO here. Let me just go ahead and center that in for you. And right there, you see that culprit? Right there. And it actually started to expand a little bit further southward. We are located, I'm drawing the equator right here. We are located just a little bit, I would say, right about where my cursor is right now on your screen. Okay. Now, if you see, that coronal hole stream is pretty much dead center on the Earth. It's also a very tight and small coronal hole, which means the stream is probably going to be a lot more concentrated, and it's not going to spread out that fast like a coronal hole with a really large opening would. It would have a bigger field. This was a more concentrated coronal hole. There is a reason why the sun's magnetic field, its connection with the Earth, there has to be a reason why that shrunk down so fast, and it was almost like concentrating a laser beam right on that area in South America. This could have probably happened anywhere on our planet if the timing was right and the Earth was on the other side. You may have seen this earthquake somewhere near India in the South Pacific. Who knows? But all I know is that that angle did drop, and it bottomed out right at the time, right before this earthquake. Plus, we had already been impacted for 2 days of straight solar wind. So I think the combination of these two factors is what upscaled the magnitude of this earthquake. That's what I'm seeing, because other than that, folks, there's no other reason for it. I mean, again, I've been racking my brain on this for about 8 hours. I finally come across what I do honestly believe is the main factors for this big earthquake. In the future, if this continues to happen, my Lord, we may be looking at magnitude 7 and 8 earthquakes on a regular basis. The 7s and 8s, they may become the norm here on our rock that we call Earth. That would not be a good thing. But we do have another factor out there lurking with our sun that is a factor that we cannot overlook. Other mainstream scientists and astronomers, they may overlook it, but the reason why they overlook it, folks, is because they don't have a backbone, and they don't want to lose their job, and they don't want to lose their career. They could really give two shits about humanity and me and you. How's that old saying go? Money talks, bullshit walks. Well, your science community, they're walking on you. But I don't know. We got some pretty good heads here, and I think that we have figured out a lot over the last couple of years, and that is the main goal. That's what I'm seeing, folks. That is what I am seeing. We're going to take a real quick look at the earthquake map, and just to show you that I'm not messing around, take a look. Yeah. You got one earthquake after the other, and these are all fresh. Bosnia. They even got an earthquake in Bosnia. 4.1 just cracked off in Italy. Look at this. The Republic of the Congo. No faults. No fault lines. Yeah, magnitude 4.7. 10 kilometers deep. These are all surface quakes. Down here in Chile, magnitude 4.3. That was actually pretty deep, 118 kilometers. That is probably some of the remnants of the Peruvian quake ripping southward. Let's hope to God that they don't have a major earthquake there in Chile, because they have faults everywhere around Chile. Mexico, 4.3. Now, look how deep it was, 119 kilometers, directly attributed to the quake in Peru. And, yeah, we looked at this earthquake there in Oklahoma. Hey, say a prayer for those folks in the Midwest, man. They are getting hammered. People are losing their lives, torrential flooding, and very, very serious tornado situations. I mean, really scary stuff. I would not want to be there. But let's just take a look at this ring of fire, baby. Look at that. Right around the ring of fire. And if we had the earthquakes over here, they would proceed up, 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 up. The ring of fire is on fire. No doubt about it, folks. No doubt about it. I want to show you something I mentioned in my other live stream about that big, gigantic rock slide in Colorado, where one of the rocks was the size of a 2-story house. Remember me telling you that? I didn't have a picture of it. Well, I actually got to a Colorado news station that has a pretty good report on it and some damn awesome aerial photographs. And look, folks, they have an estimated weight of this rock. And there wasn't one, there was two. You got to see the path of destruction. This is incredible. I mean, we are truly living in some really, really crazy times, man. But I'm going to pull this report up. You guys check this out. Now, this news station, they do have a video as a commercial that's going to pop up real quick. Okay, yep. As soon as this commercial is done playing, I'll let you listen to this report, and they're going to show you the size of this rock. Now, one of the guys they're interviewing in this segment, he's got a really, really funny looking mustache. So don't laugh at it, don't stare at it, but just watch the report or listen to it.
They had two massive boulders that slid onto a highway in southwestern Colorado. It's a huge task, as you can see. Each boulder is the size of a house, weighing more than 10 million pounds combined. Thank you for joining us. I'm Andrea Flores. CBS 4's Michaelia White joins us. Experts in Michaelia, it sounds like it could take a while.
It is going to take a while, Andre. And you know what? The good news is that no one was hurt when those two massive boulders, literally the size behind me, fell.
It's just truly mind-boggling that something that big came down.
Eddie Lewis was driving on Highway 145 Friday night when...
Okay, look at his mustache.
I expected an accident or something like that, and they said, no, there's a huge boulder that's fallen down into the middle of the road.
He says his immediate reaction was to fly his plane to the top and get a better view.
I like to check things out and get some different perspective on it. You know, I thought, oh, that would be neat.
This is the photo he snapped after CDOT tells us 10 million pounds of sandstone plummeted 1,500 feet down the slope, demolishing the roadway. CDOT crews and the Montezuma County Sheriff's Office responded right away.
Then they showed up on site and they're like, that's not going to work. We got some really big rocks here.
The area is closed until crews can break them down and remove them.
Detour routes set up through Durango. So the best thing they can do right now is it's not going to open anytime soon. So if you were thinking you were going to travel Highway 145, you need to change your plans.
And again, both of those was to fly his plane to
that, and they said, said, "No, there's
Okay,
a
folks,
huge
hold on
boulder
one
that's
second.
fallen."
Let me mute Mr. Mustache Man over here. I want to get back to the size of this boulder, man. They said the estimated weight of these two rocks was 10 million pounds. They have to bring in jackhammers. Oh, it won't let me stop it. Anyways, they have to bring in jackhammers to bust these two boulders up. And did you see the path that this thing drove straight through the mountainside there, man? That's pretty incredible. That is some crazy stuff. Here's a nice good look at one of those boulders. And, you know, if you throw some American flags around it and a few other like plaques and things of that nature, you could make a damn monument right there out of that big boulder. And further down, you could see the scale of the guys standing here compared to the size of that rock. I think that may be the biggest rock slide that I've ever seen in my entire life. Not just one boulder, two. And you see the path of destruction. Wow, when they came down from the very top of that mountain. Here's another good picture. This was the picture I was talking about in my live stream earlier today. The size of that guy compared to that size of that boulder. Woo! Baby. Yeah, man, that's like a monument. Oh, there's Mr. Mustache Man. Yeah. This guy needs to trim that up a little bit. And you can see they got a big excavator in there with a jackhammer attachment, busting that rock up. And they'll probably turn it into gravel. Here is a good aerial shot right there. Look at the path. I mean, that doesn't even do it justice, you know. Here's another good shot. They said it destroyed the road. Just absolutely annihilated the road. It ripped a big gorge right across the road. Landed in the grass on the other side. Absolutely beautiful surroundings also there in Colorado. Gorgeous, gorgeous state. And this was an earlier report. Pretty much the same. This is right after it happened. But if you take a look just at the video clip right here, look at the depth of that and compared to the size of the guys. If that guy took a step off of this ledge right there, he would fall down. He'd probably break some bones. That's how far of a gorge, a gouge, that it drove through the ground. Yeah. Pretty intense. And you know, folks, I had a bunch of video clips that have been sent in to me from a lot of folks down in Peru. Also a lot of photographs and video. Right after my live stream, very, very early this morning, YouTube demonetized my video a minute after my live stream, which I don't really care. Then I did my second live stream. We uncovered some more data, went over some more information. 1 minute after that live stream, they did the same damn thing. I appealed both times. And they've, you know, reapproved my two live streams. What made my live stream so bad? Both of them. There are probably millions of people on social media, as we speak, posting videos talking about this event down in Peru. But I don't understand why YouTube went after me like that. That just goes to show you that they really do not want me. They definitely don't want me bending your ear. I know they do it to a lot of other people, folks, but I'm telling you right now, it's a fact. The boob tube will probably do the same thing to this live stream. I could almost guarantee it. But it is what it is. Hey, real quick, all of the email notifications, it seems that that system is working very, very well. I am getting, where the hell is it? I am getting a lot of really good feedback from you guys, the subscribers. You like the idea of the email alerts and the email notifications. It's working very, very well. Once again, folks, sign up for our email alerts. It's the best way that we could fight censorship and the notification problem on YouTube. Listen, we got to do what we got to do. So, the link is in the description box. Don't be shy, okay? Get down in there, fill in your name, your email address, click enter. Now remember, folks, once you do that, wait about a minute. Go to your email. You could tell I'm getting tired. Go to your inbox, in your email, find the confirmation email that's going to be sent to you. When you open that up, there'll be a little blue box that says confirmation. You need to click on that. And that confirms your subscription. Then after that, you're all done. Not real complicated. If you could tie your shoes, you can do this. And I think this is going to be a tremendous asset and a tremendous tool for us to fight some of this censorship, this shadow banning, whatever the hell they're doing to my YouTube channel. I'm not liking it. But that's the information that I came up with, folks. Racked my brain on it. I couldn't think of any other reason why we would have a massive earthquake like that. And under the conditions, it is what it is. It occurred. Here's the thing. It's definitely going to occur again. And as far as all the videos, the video clips and the pictures that I had for you guys, I don't want to mess around with YouTube over here today. I think I've done enough. But I was going to show you guys all of these video clips. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these video clips all together with the photographs. And I am going to put it in a video format and upload it to my Google Drive. After I'm done doing that, I will post the link for that in the description box, and I will send it out in the email notifications. If any of you want to view it privately, you can. So, it might take me a few hours to get all this done. But see, if you are set up with the email notifications, you could have yourself a little private viewing, which would probably take about 4 or 5 minutes. Anyways, folks, I'm out of here. I'm going to go get some rest. I'll be back up at 3:30 a.m. You'll probably hear from me by 5 or 6 a.m. Start getting up early. You could have your morning coffee with me right here at Planet X News. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, real tough, rough weather out there in the Midwest. Big heat wave in the South. Be very, very careful. Holiday weekend, cops are everywhere. Don't drink and drive. Don't do drugs. And don't end up in jail. And just watch your weather, folks. You'll hear from me first thing tomorrow morning, probably in the afternoon. And I'd like to thank all of you who are helping out with the email notifications. It's working out fantastic, folks. Don't be shy. Click on the email notification. Get your subscription started today. This is Scott from Planet X News. I am out of here. Take care, folks.